making beer, not exactly your plan on how to make a living, right? This was not the plan.
No, because I grew up as the son of a brewmaster. In fact, I'm the sixth oldest son in a row to be a brewer. But when my dad was a brewmaster, the beer industry in the United States was consolidating and breweries were closing. I think he told me when he got out of brewmaster school in 1948, there were almost 1,000 breweries in the U.S. And when I started Sam Adams 36 years later, that 1,000 breweries had collapsed down to 50. So 95% of the breweries in the United States were driven out of business. And when I told my dad that I was going to leave the good job that I had,
right? You were flying first class. You were a consultant for Boston Consulting Group, making good money.
yeah, and a nice office overlooking Boston Harbor. And I told him I was going to leave all that behind and I was going to make beer. And
What did he say?
He told me two things. He said, you know, Jim, you've done some dumb things in your life. This is just about the dumbest. And it's taken us 150 years to get the smell of a brewery out of our clothes. You got all this education. Don't tell me you're going to throw it all away just to make beer.
All right, so clearly you did not heed the advice of your father. I'm sure that he later appreciated that you did not. But what did you say back to him?
Well, I explained to him, you know, Dad, I understand why you feel that way, because when you're in the beer business, you know, all the little guys were driven out of business, and yeah, now it's only these huge brewers that are mass marketing and mass producing enormous quantities of beer. I'm going to do something different. And I'm actually not going to compete with them. I'm going to make something radically different and better. I am going to make rich, flavorful beer in very small batches. And my plan is to only get to about $1 million a year in sales. That'll be 5,000 barrels, 8 employees, and I can make a decent living. I'm not going to make the money I'm making now, but I can support my family, and I'll be doing something that I really want to do.
Was there ever a moment when you almost lost it all?
10 years ago, there was this one horrible moment.
What happened?
Well, we noticed that our bottle supplier was giving us bottles that when you capped them, maybe 1 in 5,000 had this little piece of glass on the lip, which when you capped it, it would fall into the beer.
Oh no.
That was my feeling, like, oh no. We recalled 25 million bottles of Sam Adams. It cost us $25 million to do this. And I'll never forget, and we had a meeting with our board and with where we talked about what do we do, and my recommendation is we have to do the right thing.
Did you get pushback from your board at all?
There were questions about it.
Thinking,
but,
is this worth it? Is the cost-benefit analysis
have
worth
you had
it?
any complaints? Has anybody gotten hurt or cut?
Had you?
No. And I'll never forget, you know, after the board meeting, everything was telephonic, everybody hung up but my dad. Because I knew he was still on the phone, and he was like, Jim, you know, we could lose the whole company. You know that, right? And I said, yeah. Yeah, Dad, I know.
You could also lose it if you don't do the right thing.
And he said, don't worry. It's been a great ride.
Oh.
Don't worry. So, great. Perfect. That's the right perspective. And only, you know, your dad can give you that. Because it was like, I don't care if you fail. It's all right with me.
Why is this emotional for you?
It's my dad. And I mean, it's emotional because, you know, I had this wonderful experience that very few people have, which is I was able to have an adult relationship with my dad as a sort of business partner.
Yeah.
And, you know, and even more importantly, brewing was in my family. It had gone on for, you know, 130 years when my dad got out of the beer business because he couldn't make it. And so,
You made it.
you know, in some ways, there's nothing better in life than to do something that, you know, your parents think is really stupid because they don't think you can succeed, but they would love to have you accomplish it. So I got to do something that, you know, my dad told me not to do because he didn't think I could make it. And then I pulled it off, and he got to be part of it.
Do you think you're a good CEO, founder, leader?
I think I'm a good founder because, you know, it sort of worked. Yeah.
What about leader? Because a lot of people talk about and point to your leadership, and I'm wondering if you see what they see and what the lessons are in that.
There's lots of kinds of leadership. It's not homogeneous. And I can say I'm not a good CEO.
Not a good CEO?
No.
Why?
Because that means Chief Executive Officer. And I'm not really a good manager. I've never claimed to be a good manager. And for the last 17 years, I've had a CEO who is a world-class manager. And so I've been able to focus on the things that matter to me, and those tend to be the things that I'm good at. So to me, when people ask me, well, what's your job then? And I tell them, well, I really focus on two things that I'm accountable for. And those two things are the quality of the beer and the culture of the company. And I believe if I take care of those and we've got good managers, we'll be successful. And that's what I'm good at.